Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Soul Rising podcast. Today we have the lovely, beautiful, amazing, soulful Marsha Campbell. She is amazing. Love her so much. Jeannie and I were on her show I don't know, last
Yeah.
summer. Was it that
Yeah.
long ago? So Marsha is the host of the Her Sacred Soul Space podcast. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about her show and then a little bit more about what she does and the work she does out in the world.
Awesome.
Take it away,
Thank you
Marsha.
so much, Amanda. And yes, I totally enjoyed having you and Jenny on her Sacred Soul Space. So I'm really delighted to be here with you today. Hi, everyone. Wagwan. I am Marsha C. And as Amanda said, I am the host of her Sacred Soul Space. And I'm really elated to be here in this space. And also just to share with you a little bit more about her Sacred Soul Space. So, her Sacred Soul Space is a safe space for women who are in their birthing season, who are going through their awakening and maybe somewhat confused about the transformation that's occurring within them, whether it is the energy they're feeling, whether it comes up in their dreams, or just the fact that I don't even want to talk to anyone about this because I may feel as if I'm going cuckoo. Her Sacred Soul Space is here to let you know you're
Mm.
not going cuckoo and everything is just fine. You are just expanding. And I am so grateful that I have this space for these women. We are in season 2, Amanda. Season 2 starts this month, March.
Nice.
And I'm excited about it because during the winter season, when I was resting and when I was talking to God, talking to Spirit, trying to figure out what we're going to do for the next season. What theme should we get it? Something that we can dive deep into. And what came to me is self-care, expound on it, go deeper in it, go in the little crevices and corners, the little things that people may see as mundane. But if you take a great look or a closer look, it is indeed part of your self-care journey. So I am excited to talk about self-care with you. I'm excited to continue doing so on our podcast, the transformational journey that's going to occur, the sacredness of self-care and how we honor it, and even the parts of it that we don't like. How do we receive that within ourselves? So happy to be here.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. The parts of it that we don't like
Yes,
within
yes,
ourselves.
definitely.
Let's maybe talk a little bit more about that. What kind of parts do you see relate to self-care that we don't like about ourselves? Does anything just like come to mind right
Well,
away?
there are certain parts of us that we don't like. And we tend to separate it from the good side. We always talk about, well, I am Marsha Campbell and I am the host of the such and such, but I'm also Marsha Campbell who also have problem with understanding and fully communicating love to herself and thinking that it has to come externally. And when I don't receive that, I may go and participate in coping mechanism, whether it's have one too many glass of wine or whether it is okay, because I'm not gonna lie, Amanda, I am, you know, a fan of cannabis. And it's not like I'm saying there's anything wrong with it because when I'm in that space, I do receive downloads or I do receive messages that
Yeah.
I need to do for my next project or something like that. But at the same time,
Yeah.
girl, I have to also realize that this side also prevents me from fully flowing in the way I need to flow. Sometimes I become too comfortable over here that what I could have gotten done in 2 hours is taking me a day. You understand? So that's where and that's the
Yes.
part of me that I may not share a lot because you don't want anyone to judge you. And at the same time, I myself already doing self-judgment regarding that, especially when you know you're called to walk in a healing journey with other individuals. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I have smoked a bunch of pot. I have done my fair share of drugs across the board. I'm sober now. And I've always felt like, for good or for bad, everybody should at least do like not every drug, but the real mind expanding
Yes, yes.
drugs, at least like once, because it definitely opens up this consciousness in your brain that you really can't access 100%. I remember when I got sober, I was afraid that I wasn't going to be creative anymore.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
said to my therapist, I said, but I feel like I get really creative when I'm drinking or drugging or whatever. And she said, that's inside of you. She goes, it's inhibited when you're sober because you just don't, you're not allowing yourself to be as free flowing and to go to these other places, maybe because we're more stuck in like 3D
Yeah.
land. But I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna see if I could write something. And I went home and I banged out this awesome poem. And I was like, oh my gosh, I do still have it, you know? So, but I do hear you. It definitely can bring you to other realms, but also is it blocking really the true essence? Like in sobriety, we talk about like the whole point of like the steps and stuff is to kind of clear you up, kind of get rid of any of the garbage, anything that's blocking God, spirit, higher power, whatever you want to call it, from flowing through me and in me and out
Mhm.
of me. And if I'm ingesting any kind of substance for me, it's just for me, it inhibits that to a certain degree. Like when I meditate, I get to these places like that. It's just like, whoa. Like I was just away for a 2-day silent retreat by myself in Crestone, Colorado, which is in Southwest Colorado. It's known as a spiritual
Okay.
vortex. It was just me by myself, and I was meditating, and I put on this really cool like drum beat, this music, and I was really deep into it, and I just heard this like name, and I was like, "What? What is that?" And I went and I was trying to get downloads information for a
Okay.
next book, possibly. The computer, and I looked it up, and it's this whole it goes into divine feminine energy, goes into ancient Mesopotamia. It goes in, like this whole thing. I wrote this whole crazy outline based on like that one name that came to me, you know. And so I know that with or without, you know, some people need it, but with or without, I can still get to that place of
Yeah.
creativity and for me, it's even more just true and real and pure. And I know that there's nothing that's altering that, that it's really truly coming through me, not anything else that's making me feel that way. I run. I guess that's my vice. I run. And I feel like when I run, I get into a meditative
Yes.
state. So, you know, it's the same thing. You know, I could say, well, I could get there without running, but I like to run because it
Right.
enhances it. It's the same
Mhm.
thing
I
as
I totally agree with you. It's so funny because today as I was, just getting my mind together to meet with you. And I just happened to pop on TikTok and this young lady was having a live and it was literally about this. It was literally about how she is 3 months now, not engaging in those activities and how she recognized that it's always been in me, my creative juice. Everything that I get that is heightened whenever I am participated in that, it's still within me, just like you're saying. And now she's recognizing how to connect with it in that way without having to go through the other channel of, rolling up and getting a glass of wine to go to feel relaxed enough for you to get to the higher conscious
yeah.
level. And when I saw that, I was like, look at God. My spirit just smiled because I knew that was a confirmation that this was supposed to come up on your podcast. Because I thought about it. Like,
Work.
nah, I'm not gonna say that part. Let's just leave that out and go with all the good side of
No, no,
things.
that's it.
This was supposed to come up because there are
Yeah.
gonna be individuals out there who too are struggling and who too can't get past this and not even recognizing the other little things that they're doing to even give kudos to themselves for doing those things. So
Whatever it is. I mean, I recently stopped drinking regular caffeinated coffee. And that to me is a huge step in my self care journey because it gives me anxiety. Then I get like, I crash and sometimes I could get like nasty. Like it's really strange. I don't know if it's because I don't ingest any alcohol or drugs and maybe I'm very sensitive to any other chemical in my
no.
body, but the caffeine was really, and then finally, I mean, it got to the point. I mean, I've been drinking coffee since I'm what, 15 years old or something. And I finally got to the point now, 30 years later, where I'm like, I don't want to do that to myself anymore. Like, the longer I am on my sobriety journey, the longer I am on my spiritual journey, which is really what
Yeah.
it is. It's sobriety, but really a spiritual journey. I don't want to hurt myself in these kind of insidious ways that I don't notice all the time are bad for me just because I'm so used
Yeah.
to it. But it just takes time, you know? It's like you remove one thing and then you get comfortable in that state and then you're willing and ready to remove something else. And it's really just peeling back the layers of our true self,
Right. Exactly.
right? It's that base, pure, raw, naked, vulnerable, exposed human where there's nothing else. And I say human, and human almost sounds weird to me now because I'm just so filled with spirit, and I know you are as well. That there needs to be like a name for like the human and the spirit, like as one. But
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with that.
I don't.
We're
Yeah,
gonna have
I'll
to
have to
come up with
figure
that.
that out.
Interesting too, the way I look at it. So I am also in a transformational program of which I really cannot talk about, but just I want to give a little essence of it and something that I'm garnered from being in that space. Um, I don't know if you heard of the book, The Game of Life. The Game of Life and How You Play It, Florence Scovel Shinn.
No, I'm gonna write that.
Yeah. So when I first started and when I was being pulled into spirituality, pastor, believe it or not, he recommended this book to me. He said, I see that you're super spiritual and gifted. I want you to read this book. And at that time, I was heavily in church and everything. And he said, I want you to know it's not a religious book, but it's a book that is going to open up your mind. And it's basically, even now in this program that I'm doing, references that they're making brought me back to the book, The Game of Life, because now we're being allowed to see life as a game. But where is the game? Is the game within you or outside of you? And it took me a minute for me to recognize I am the game, which means I cannot separate the entity of, oh, I don't like the side of me. And just, I'm only going to give praises to the other side. I am everything, which means I have
Yeah.
to and embrace all sides, all aspects of who I am, including the good and the bad, which also goes to the self care journey part, embracing the entire entity. You can't choose that, okay, I am only going to say, do the physical part of self care, meaning my nails and my
Mm,
facial and all that stuff. Our
mm, mm,
internal, our
mm.
mental, and our spiritual aspect of it is a part of the entity, is a part of who we are, which is a part of the game. Wherever we go, we bring the game. So, how are we going to bring and show up in our love if self care is not being done? Because for me, self care equates to self love. So, if we're not
Yes.
really communing with ourselves in that way as a whole, not just pieces and parts that feels good and resonate with us in that way, but as a whole, accepting every part of us, then we are always going to be looking externally for that love that we already have within us. When that came to mind, it just blew me. I was just like, wow, wow.
It's really a whole self-worth journey as well. I feel like it's this my self-worth has to be in this place where it's really running on all cylinders and I'm really feeling good and I feel like I deserve the self-care and I feel like I deserve the self-love. Because then I can't have the self-care, take the action without feeling that I'm worthy of that action. It feels to me like self-worth, self-care, self-love. It almost feels like it goes in that
Yeah.
order. Um, and the self-worth comes in. I love that you talked about like accepting all the parts of ourselves. Like that's it. Like I had this like epiphany. And I actually wrote about it in one of the chapters of my book. It was during COVID, and I'd go out a lot, like by myself, and I would go out in nature and take hikes and stuff. And I just would see all these beautiful flowers, and then I would see these like thorny ones, these weeds, or and since we are nature, right? We are one with nature. There is no separation there. I was able to see that in the way of internalizing it for myself, that I have those beautiful
Yeah.
parts of the velvety soft flowers and the colors, the vibrant colors. And then I have the prickly, thorny bushes and even a rose. Even if you look at a
Yes,
rose,
right?
right? A rose, what rose. And then you have the thorny stem. So it's not all just being sunshine and rainbows all the time, that everything's great and that I love myself and I'm just so great and all this great stuff. We are human
Yeah,
beings and there are instincts in us that sometimes come out in not very pretty ways,
indeed.
right? So it's not so much to me about like taking the parts I don't like and like ripping them out by the root and throwing them away. It's almost like integrating those things and saying, how can I use that because it was given to me for something? How can I use that instinct and now in a way that's going to serve me and serve the
Yeah.
world, right? Taking all of it and valuing all of it and sending love to all the
So
parts.
all the
That's
parts.
how I kind of
Yes.
with the parts I like or love or value or think that they're bad is by sending love to it and saying, you know what? I was just judgmental, right? Getting very honest, got to get very honest with myself first and say, I didn't like that I did that, and now the longer I am on my spiritual journey, I'm noticing it so much more. And these little things that used to be so acceptable in my
Mhm.
behaviors or thoughts are not acceptable anymore. They're just not. And this stuff just takes time, right? You don't just wake up one day and have these kinds of conversations and have this awareness. It takes time. That's why it's a
Yeah,
journey. That's why they say it's
indeed, indeed, indeed. Um, it's also leads into the power of choice. Um,
mm,
and because just listening to you, you have went through where you make a choice now without resentment towards attached to it. And sometimes we are so hard on ourselves um, when we make a choice and it may not work out the way it's supposed to. And now we resent our own selves for even choosing to do
mm,
so, especially
yeah.
if we hear in the back of our mind something was telling us to go the other way. And
Yes.
understanding that choosing is still a part of our journey. However, the choice, wherever way it may have went, it's still a part of our journey that is going to allow us to be able to now be in a space to immediately know, nope, that's not it. Immediately, you know that's not it because now you're more aligned with your truth and
Yeah.
who you are and how you care for yourself when it comes on to choosing, regardless of whatever it is. It could be a beverage, it could be what to eat. It's how you see it being beneficial to you. How's it going to make you feel?
I want to talk more about that. And I think I've listened to one of
Right.
your
Yeah, because
share
my
the power.
friends, we had a conversation about that last season, and the fact that it's coming back up now, especially in the program that I'm in, it just resonated even more. And to the point, I was like, I'm still having problems with this. I'm still having problems
Mm,
with the choice that I make and honoring them without resentment, regardless of whether or not others may see it as bad or not, you know? And just like you said, it takes time and it's how you show up for yourself. That's the self-care part. How you
yeah,
show up for yourself in the situations that you wish were different, you know?
definitely. It's such an empowering. I mean, the word power, power of choice, empowering. It's so empowering, especially to females. I'm very much into this, and I'm probably going to pick your brain when I start writing my next book. It's going to have a lot to do with the divine feminine energy and bringing that, restoring the balance of that back on the earth.
Mhm.
Do you think that maybe as females, we are, like, we don't feel like we have that power of choice just by the nature of being female? That maybe throughout history, maybe we're carrying in our cells and the DNA something that we didn't have a lot of choice. Now we do. Now it's 2024. Things are definitely a lot different than they used to be. But do you think that maybe that difficulty in choosing that thing or not choosing that thing that's going to enhance our self-care and our self-love. Do you think it's difficult because we are women? What do you think about that?
Honestly, I don't think it's gender based. I just think it's basically your environment, society, home, community, church, whatever it is where you spend most of your time, where you get most tutelage from. And I think that's what we have used to help us to say, this is the way I have to be, not recognizing that we have the opportunity, the possibility of creating anything we want to create. We don't have to honor those thoughts or processes that were placed in us in our childhood and growing up, recognize thinking that that's the way it has to be. Now, with that being said, we all have power, and of course, we know feminine power. I'm very big on that, but we all have that power within us to choose. A lot of times, it's the outside voice that's preventing us from actually making the choice. And one of the things that I have written down, what's not choosing has cost me or you. Meaning, when you're in a position and you figured, I'm not going to choose. I want to be neutral. I want to be Switzerland. You're actually still choosing. If you take a look at it, you're still
Right.
making a choice of not to show up in this way. And now it's for you to sit with that to see, how does that make me feel? Does it empower
Mm,
me, or does it make me feel less than, or does it quiet my voice when I knew I had a good point? Or but it's just because I don't want to get into this type of situation, you know? So I really believe that it's not because it's a feminine thing. I just believe it's a you thing. It's a how were you raised thing? How did society impact you in such a way? And did you break away from it? Or are you still governed by it? What do you
Mm,
think? That's girl, that's just what comes.
yeah.
That's just what I get because I am seeing both male and female that I know currently that have gone through similar journeys and are, you have some male that are more alpha than another, yeah. And so once again, the softer male may just be one that's oftentimes maybe raised by a single mom. And so that side of him comes out more. And that side
Mm.
um, may also prevent him from making choices because maybe the mom was not somebody who was very decisive. That's just how I see a lot of intricate details that plays a role in how we show up in the power of choosing.
But it's not so much, like if I'm hearing you correctly, it's not so much necessarily the choice that is made, but getting honest with yourself about why you're making that choice. Or, and if you're not making a choice at all, if you're choosing to be
Yeah.
Switzerland, if you're choosing not to vote for a president, or if you're choosing, because it's an election year, so that's on my brain. If you're choosing not to engage in a conversation that, so you're sitting around the Thanksgiving dinner table and there's this like kind of heated discussion and you're choosing to stay silent, it's not so much about like you need to speak up because you need to make a choice in one way or the other. It's getting honest with yourself about, is that really honoring your
Right.
true self? Is not speaking going to help you in some way? Right. Because also saying something could then come back to hurt you later.
Exactly.
So it's not about really non engaging or engaging. It's about, where is your soul really calling you to show up?
Right.
Or will it be more beneficial to the energy and to the people around you if you don't say anything or don't take that action?
Exactly, exactly. Because listen, we got to preserve our energy. We have to preserve our energy and we have to know we have the ability to choose when we are, and because our energy is unique and special, we have to see that about ourselves. That's also a part of our self care recognition, knowing your energy and how awesome and important it is to you. So when you are giving it to someone else, in whatever shape or form you want to do it, whether it's just by just speaking or having intimate sessions and stuff like that, you're still giving that to someone. You have to choose, is it worth it to do so? Because now a
Mm,
part of you, it's about to go out there. It's about to go out in the atmosphere, to the universe. That part of your energy is out there. And if that person doesn't receive that energy, sometimes you can look as, man, I just wasted my time. Man, I just wait. Why did I even say that? Just to be honest
yes,
and real.
yes, honest and real, and picking and choosing our
Yeah.
spots. Where is my energy going to be best
Yes.
spent? Because, and this is not anything to take lightly. I mean, like, we're living at a time in history where what we say, what we do, how we feel, the energy we put out there matters
So
so much more than I think so many people realize. How much more powerful we are than people even
yeah.
think, right? We say, oh, you're stronger than you think. No, you're more powerful than you think. That's where the strength
Mhm.
comes in, is that the things that I say, right? Words have hold so much power. The things that I say and do, as you too, as a podcaster, like anybody that's in this creating kind of world, the things that we put out there matter so much. I think, especially right now, since we're at this kind of like crossroads, it feels like to me, of humanity, like, which way are we going to go? Are we going to go like the more selfish, self centered, profit driven, greed, ego way? Or are we going to go the more loving, compassionate, kind, humanitarian, spiritual
Yeah.
way? So this stuff is not to be taken lightly. I'm so glad that you're
Yeah,
bringing all of this up
especially with
because
the
it's
huge
super.
shift that's going on. I mean, nature itself is already telling us that something is happening and something is coming. Everybody's on high for the April 8th eclipse. And you see nature is showing up in a way and you recognize the shift. If you are sensitive enough, you will recognize the shift that is occurring. And that too is something you keep in mind to determine, do I give my energy off to other people? Because I have to preserve it for what is to come. So that's other
Mm,
elements we could look at to help us to determine how we choose in the way we're showing up and to see that as a form of self care.
definitely. It's definitely a form of self care. That's huge. I love it. So what else? What other ways? What other ways? Can we look at? Let's
Yeah,
keep
but I
going. This is
wanted
awesome.
us to also tap into the barriers. And I know that we talked about it a little bit earlier when I mentioned even the parts of us that we don't like. And, I wanted to see if we could just to shine a little light on the barriers that may prevent us from even want to embrace self-care and just not see it as an important, vital element to us. And just wanted to hear from you as well, because I know you've talked about your journey with alcohol and stuff, and um, shared a little bit about mine. But I wanted to tap into the emotions. Emotions to me
Mm,
are some of the hugest barriers when it comes on to self care, because if we
mm.
don't have a great day, we come home and we normally would have gone running or even just walking or even just breathing, but we're still carrying what transpired at work or what transpired when you were out in the store and you had just a weird encounter. You still have that within you. I wanted for us to talk about, like, how do we release that and also still continue on the journey of taking care of ourselves despite of the emotions. That part I think is really hard as well to get into or even to dissect. Um and just to show up as brave towards, you facing your emotions and sitting in your emotion, takes courage to me. So,
Sure. Like the show is Soul Rising, all in on love, loss, and connection. And what we do here, as you know, is we explore all emotions. Ginny and I just taped a show yesterday together about the many faces of grief, we called it. And it was, about feeling that pain, journeying into the loss, journeying into grief. All of our shows are about that, like going in, like how do we keep going in and in and in and be brave? Because those are our
mm,
barriers, our thoughts, our brain. We are our own
it's
worst
our own
enemies.
worst
As
enemies.
these brains of ours, like they're so magnificent and amazing, but they also can torture us and really create that barrier. I love that you brought up that word barrier. For me, I think it's about non-judgment. I think it's about allowing anything that I'm feeling, anything that has happened in the day, any conversation I had, to kind of roll in and then like roll out. Almost like using, I like the word
Mhm,
discern. Discerning how I'm feeling, discerning what's going on in situations instead of getting fully emotionally charged and pulled into everything. That every single situation that goes on, the person at the store, like you just gave the example, or the person that cuts me off in traffic, or the email I get from such and such that I don't agree with, or that I don't like, or that I'm mad about, or
mhm.
whatever. Kind of attaching, but not
Exactly.
attaching. I think this idea of impermanence, you probably know the idea of impermanence, a Buddhist idea about attaching, but not being too attached. So that when that thing leaves, you're not so like devastated and brokenhearted, but you're still emotionally attached. We can do that as well with our
Mhm,
emotions. We can be present, we can be in the moment, we can be wholehearted, but then we can sort of step back and almost look at, like they talk about when meditation a lot, they talk about just observing, right? Or noticing. They use that a lot with being in conscious awareness, just kind of noticing things. So I could notice that thing about me and I could say, all right, maybe I'm judging myself a little harshly on that, or I'm judging somebody else on that. Um, I know for me, judgment is my biggest barrier to love, to unconditional love for myself and others. So I think it's for me, it's about not being so hard on myself when I have these things, like you said, from our childhood that are just so ingrained, really defense
yeah.
mechanisms. That's really what it all comes down to. So learning that I'm safe is another huge piece, right? I don't have to judge when I'm feeling completely whole and safe in my own self, because judgment really is kind of like this way. It's a protection. That's what it was given to us for back centuries ago, thousands of years ago, when we were fighting off the, buffalo to
Mhm,
survive. We had to judge. The fear had to come up to tell us where to go, where not to go. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that, but we don't know how to break through that. So just being conscious of what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, not judging it, knowing that somewhere along the line years ago, somewhere it probably served me and my family, my ancestors, or me if I was alive then. And but I don't need it now. But I don't need it now. So I can kind of just bless it. Friend said to me, this is a great one. I'm sorry, I'm
oh, no,
talking a
come
lot. I
on,
don't know
bring
what you
it.
chime in a sec.
I love talking with you, girl, so let's do it.
So a friend of mine said recently, actually a sponsee of mine in the program, and I just love how so much I learned so much from these newcomers. She said, bless and release,
Mhm.
bless and release. When there's a situation that I'm just rattled by, or it's bringing up these emotions that are then creating my barriers to my self care, my self love, my love for others. Just bless and release. I don't need to place a judgment on you. I don't need to value it. I don't need, that's none of my business, really. That's you. You do whatever you need to do, right? I don't need to understand. I don't need to condone. I don't need to condemn. I could just bless it, the whole situation, and then release you. Release it. Release the feeling. Release whatever it is, and not get so caught up, not get so emotionally attached to every little thing that happens.
Exactly. Especially if you two were once on that journey. Because I really believe that we are placed on a journey so that when individuals come to us, we know how to receive them because we've been there. And if you've been there,
Yeah.
especially I'm speaking for myself, whenever I encounter someone that is going through what I've gone through, there's no way I can judge. It's just give me more of the opportunity to open up myself, to pour into that individual so that she or he can know that, oh, this is beautiful. This just means that you're recognizing who you are, or you're connecting with yourself in a different way, but you're just not able to see it or pointing out at this moment. We always want instant gratification, or if we accomplish something, it needs to be huge in order for us to recognize it and to celebrate it. And the more that I am diving into this and wanting to connect with myself this entire year with this self-care journey, the more I see the little things that shifts me, but I do not give honor to it. Um,
Mm,
and even when it comes on to the emotions, just like I thought about this. Like for instance, I'm in the shower, it's winter time and I took a hot shower, put on my clothes and come out, and then you run into that bed and you cover up and you just, rubbing your hands together, rubbing your hands on your legs, and you're feeling the texture of your skin. And all of a sudden you feel as if you're a little girl again. And I
mm,
embrace that feeling because that feeling makes me feel good. I never saw that as self care. I just saw that as, oh, that's just what I do, but not see the pleasure that I get from it. And this is taking me into an episode I did. It's just came out regarding pleasure principles. Now, when I did that, and my girlfriend, Dr. Kia Fisher, was my guest, I expected her to go into, you know, dirty talks, pleasure. We want to talk about
mm,
pleasure, but
right.
she broke it down so beautifully to the point where I was like, oh my goodness, it's the little things that makes you
Hmm.
smile. Those are the little things that we overlook on our self care journey.
Yes.
It's whether or not you decide after I finish running out, I'm going to stop and I'm going to get me a smoothie, and how it brings me back to when I used to skip, when I was a kid in the meadow, whatever it is, the little things. I
Hmm.
am learning to
Hmm.
embrace those little things to help me to overcome the barriers that I give so much of my energy to, pointing it out that there you go again. Because of you, I can't even move to step two because I'm still, every time I go to step two, I'm coming back because I see you. I gave you too much power. And I know I'm looking over there as if
Mm.
I'm looking at it. I'm
Well,
looking at it, but no, I'm just saying I'm giving you too much power. So now I'm just taking the little things, the small little things, even if it's me playing with my dog or recognizing when she wants to go out without her speaking, the pacing back and forth, and I've never seen it before. And I said, oh, she must want to go outside. Those little things makes me feel good because I recognize it and I get to laugh. Those are the things that I use to help me currently overcoming the barriers. And I just wanted to point that out. I think that's just beautiful.
love that.
Yeah.
And it's so huge because we don't have any time these days, right? We're all distracted. Everybody's busy. Everybody's running a million directions. But really, just taking the time to be present with either your children or your spouse or your animals or nature or whatever it is, and just allowing yourself to go into that energy, into that sacred space. I love that. And I was remembering when I got sober, they said, if you want self esteem, do esteemable things. So I said, well, what I don't know. What could I do? Like, I don't know. So I just, I didn't really understand the difference between self-esteem and self-worth. But I went and got myself like literally like a $5, $8 bouquet of
Mhm.
flowers. And I was looking at myself in a little apartment. And when I opened my door, I would see my kitchen table and I just put the flowers on the table. And every time I walked in for, however long I did that, I saw those flowers and I said, you are worthy of those flowers. Just something because I felt like such a piece of crap, when I got sober. And now I can still go there. I could still feel so bad about myself, right? So it's like those little tiny gestures, those gifts, those beautiful little gifts that we can give ourselves means so much. It's just I love the what you're talking about, like the connecting to your inner child really is what it sounded like. I wrote down inner I forget things, so I write that's what I'm writing. When you see things and it sparks a thought, I write it down. I have like no memory, but the inner child piece is so huge. I believe so much of our healing is about healing that inner child. And whatever childhood you had, some of us had rougher childhoods than others. Some of us had really pleasant ones. But there's still work to be done, I believe. I don't care if you say you came from the Partridge Family, everything was great, everything was, all the holidays were beautiful, mom made it so special, whatever it is, right? I think there's still a difficulty in growing up. Adolescence, you're so uncomfortable in your own skin. Like there's just, if you look deep enough, everybody has something in their childhood that needs to be healed. So I think that, having that like that sensuality
Mhm.
too, that's such a divine feminine thing too, right? Like allowing ourselves to have that sensuality of just, wow, my skin feels really soft and that, connecting to yourself. That is
Yeah.
self care, just
Self
connecting.
yes, indeed, and loving each parts of your body. I remember I had to do that after, um, breast cancer. That was one of the hardest things, and for me to connect back with my body, and I did, like, shower meditations where I told the different parts of my body how much I love it, and I say the one thing that I love about my body. But when it came onto my breast, it was so difficult. I remember saving my breast for last because I didn't know what to say, because that was indeed my favorite parts of my body, at least one of. And so I didn't know how to say it. And so I had to, in my early 20s, I used to do Mary Kay, and they used to say, fake it till you make it, and had to fake it until I started to recognize that, oh, you're being really honest about your breast now. And I
Yeah.
would say the things that some people can't. I was like, girl, you don't have to wear a bra anymore. Now you just wear spaghetti and you're good. I had to say the
Yeah.
things that I know is a fact that I know that will resonate within my spirit. Um, in order for me to now connect back with that side of me, I had to choose love for that part of my body. And that was big. So even the little things and that you see your nails, your fingers, the shape of your fingers and all that. And you say, I love my fingers. And if you see it on your children and you recognize that, it gives me a warm feeling inside. It does for my daughter, because when I saw her fingers, I was like, oh my goodness, you really do have my fingers. I may not say it out loud to
Yeah.
her, but I was like, I felt good about it. It's just learning to appreciate the small things.
I like how you said fake it till you make it because some people don't like that. Some people say, oh, like I've seen on social media, like, no, I believe in it. We say that in recovery too.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. Bring the body and the mind will
And
follow. That's another way. Okay. So we have to just kind of do things, take certain actions until it resonates, until it connects, until it really becomes true. And doing that stuff is so important because then that's the self care, the self love, and then we're able to give that to others. And that's the whole point, I believe, of being here. It's the whole reason why humans are reincarnated right now to be here is to learn how to be love and how to give love. And I can't do that if I'm not practicing these real uncommon or atypical ways of practicing self-care. This is a very important conversation. I hope a lot of people listen to this show because I think it's going to help a lot, women and men a lot of ways of looking at things and tuning in and tapping in when they're just going through their day and saying, oh, maybe drinking that glass of water, right? I don't drink enough water. Like I woke up yesterday morning and I was like, I'm going to drink like a full glass of water this right now because I know it's good
Mhm.
for me. Uh, why don't I do that more? Right? Is that just another way of self sabotage? Is that a masochistic behavior that's just so unconscious? Right? Like, and I think that's what's going on now is we're all waking up. Well, most of us are waking up to noticing, becoming aware of, I do that, or I don't do that, or I should do that in these little tiny ways that we think are little, but really mean so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. You just, when you were talking about love, something just hit me and he said, maybe this is the last point we're going to make on this, but here we go. And I was like, why am I going to talk about it? But okay, here go another part of Marsha's story. So,
Huh?
um, I,
God.
in December for my birthday, I did a shroom journey. And through that journey, I connected with my younger self. I saw her as if I was looking at my daughter. It's like when you see somebody, like, I know that person. And I was like, oh
Mm,
my gosh, come here. Who hurt you? And from that, I had revelations of things that I knew was in the back of my mind, but it just never came forth. I just didn't know how to put my hands on it or to make it seem real, but I just knew something occurred. And through that journey, I was able to have closure with the fact that something did occur. Now, what do you do? How do you go forth with it? Now I was in a space of how do I love myself? How do I love her? Because she was separated from me for so long. And it's like we just connected again. And I was so excited, Amanda. Days after, I'm just excited in the shower. I'm talking to my younger self, and I'm so excited. I'm like, what do you want to do? What do you want us to do? Like, we missed out on so many years of our life. How are we going to connect? And then that high went away. January, February, it went away. And now in March, I'm like, no, I don't want it to go back as if it's separate. I now got all pieces of me back together again. And I wanted to go forth in
mm,
that. I realized through that my love reservoir, that essence of me depleted and went away. Um, and now I'm finding it back to the point where I'm like, forget that. I don't care how those relationships did not benefit me. They never gave me the love that I was giving out to them, regardless of whether or not it was intimate friendship. It doesn't matter. I was showing up and pouring into you. You were around me for a reason. You enjoyed how
mhm,
my vibration, you enjoyed how I made you feel, but just couldn't reciprocate
mm.
it. And now I felt as if I was in a space that I didn't even know how to reciprocate love back to me. I only knew how to give it to other people. And so I paused for a while. And now I am starting a journey next month. I decided to go with a Tantra practitioner, and it is a guy.
Mm.
And I purposely did that because I wanted some masculine energy around me so that I am not afraid to step up to the plate when it comes on to that vibration. I needed the yin and the yang. I needed to be balanced. I needed,
Sure,
I
sure.
needed to
What?
connect back with my love so that I don't have to worry about whether or not when I'm giving it that I have to look back for it. Because when you give, you're just supposed to give, even if it doesn't reciprocate.
Yes.
That's the part I
Thank
had to remember. And so I'm just led to share this because, any of your viewers out there might be thinking, it is hard for me to even exercise self love because I'm always feeling as if I have a broken heart and I'm always feeling low because nobody seems to love me. So how can I even love myself? Yes, you can. And it is okay. Their, you don't have to take their response or their reaction to what you know within yourself love is supposed to be about to determine how you love you. So I just wanted to say that.
I
That
love
was
that.
kind of long.
I love that so much. I love that. No, it's great. It's great. I love it. And I love that you said that, how we can give love regardless of if we're getting it back. And there's this idea out there, this concept that has been bothering me for a very long time about this, that we have to have I listen, I do believe in an equal exchange of energy in general. I mean, I think it's healthy, I think it's good. But I don't really look at giving my love. It has to be in ways that's comfortable to me and that's okay for me. It's not like I'm pouring and pouring and giving and I'm not getting anything back. That's different. But I can still energetically send love. I can still feel connected to you, even if I'm not interacting with you on a daily basis because it's unhealthy or whatever, right? Like when we go through these shifts of creating boundaries, right? That's a whole other episode about self-love. But like creating boundaries with people doesn't mean that I have to completely extricate myself from that energetic exchange. Because by me continuing to, I don't know, send the card, um, shoot the text every now and then, hope you're doing well, whatever it is, that's it's helping me to feel like a good
Yeah.
person. That is
Yeah.
self-care. That is making me fit, exercising myself, my love, my self-love. I love how you use that word exercise because it's a practice. We have to engage in it. We have to exercise it like a muscle, right? So I'm still exercising my muscle and making my love muscle stronger by staying marginally around certain people and situations because it's giving me the opportunity to be loved. I'm not a very religious person, but I often think about Jesus and the love that he gave with no expectation, with nothing needing to come back in return. Like, yeah, some people, like you said, are just incapable. They're unskilled, right? I think is actually the word that I like to use because they just don't know. They don't know. And if they did know how to do it and how to be it, they probably would be. They'd probably be it because it's just a natural part of us that wants to come out. So I feel like compassion for those people. I feel their pain. I feel their barrier is just like a steel gate, right? And so I want to actually send more love to those people. Do you know about meta
No.
meditation? Meta meditation is a meditation where we send love to ourselves. Well, we could do it in any order, but I do it first to myself. It's may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I know freedom, and may I walk the world with ease. And then I say that to other people. I give that, I almost feel it's like a ring, almost like a ring of love. So like I welcome that from my creator, from source energy, from love. I get all the light and then I give it out to others. And you just change the word to may they be happy, may they be healthy, may they know freedom, may they walk the world with ease. And the common practice is to do it, give that to the people closest to you that you love, people in the inner circle, and then give it to people who you don't know very well, kind of like strangers, but you still know, and then give it to perfect strangers that just people out there in the world, and then to your enemies, your
Right.
adversaries. And so you're giving them that love because it's healing. It's probably going to heal them. They don't know it. They might not ever know it, but it doesn't matter because it's healing
Yeah.
you. It's healing you. It's breaking down those walls of fear and pain and hurt and all this stuff because we're giving them the love, so it's healing us. So I love that you brought that whole thing up, and I'm really excited for you and happy for you to have that journey that you took with your inner child. I mean, that's what it's all
Yeah.
about. Really, that's all it goes back to, this healing on this deep level. It's all about our inner child. And I'm sorry for whatever you had to go through, but I'm also not because you needed that experience to bring you to where you are
Indeed.
today,
Yes.
right? Wouldn't be, you would still be an awesome human, but you probably wouldn't. I could speak for myself. I wouldn't have gone as deep to the depths of healing if I wasn't in such pain and despair and that I wasn't so just thirsty for healing if I didn't have those. I say like, you could go as low as I go is like as high as I fly or bounce or whatever. So like the lower I go, the higher I bounce back up. So I'm grateful for all of my experiences, every single one of
Me
them.
too. I am indeed. I really believe that, you know, I really believe in the fact that many are called, but few are chosen, you know? And so I believe some of us, the chosen one, when we go through those difficult journey, it's just to build us up, just like you said, it's just to build us up. Um, and oftentimes we may have to walk those alone until others come in our path that are able to continue building us up. Um, and that shifts us in a way that our vibration now it's at a different level. So we're indeed going to attract higher individuals that or individuals that resonate on a higher frequency that we also need to be in our space. And that's one of the things that's important as healers, um, is for us to know and recognize that we too need to be surrounded by individuals that are so going to pour into us. And I know sometimes it's hard to share because not everybody that comes in to say healer, healer indeed comes from a true space of wanting to heal. If the Bible talks about, if you go biblically, the wolf comes in sheep clothing in a way. So you have to really be able to decipher, I see you, but I also see you, which means you cannot be in
One.
this space of healing that I'm trying to go into for
Wow.
myself. Um, but yeah, I am grateful for my journey, and I look forward to what's going to transpire in April. Um, and and that is something that is definitely, I'm not going to allow to hold me back anymore, because to be honest with you, there are other things that I'm supposed to be doing, but it's on hold because of just this. My having to understand and recognize, care for myself in a way, and even choose the things that I do without resentment and recognizing it's still a part of me, so that it's not a preventing me from moving forward into where I need to go, because I am judging myself because I'm supposed to be what? Fact, before I can move into this area of where I'm going to walk with individuals. And daily I'm learning even more so that is not true. That is false. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, we have to have a certain amount of healing, I guess, under our belt so that we have something to give away. But we're constantly growing and healing. There's no finish line
Right.
ever. So wherever we are right now, we have something
In
to offer other
yeah.
people. Like, definitely. So we don't ever have to get there. There's
There's
no
just
there. It's just no, there's just always more. There's always more. This friggin' onion, it just will not stop peeling itself. And every time one layer is exposed, and it's like, oh shit, I didn't know that that was there. I remember saying to my therapist like a year ago, I was like, I can't believe after all this work I've done on myself that I'm still dealing with this. And she said, well, you had to deal with that thing and heal from that thing before you could tackle this thing, right? So it's just all a process, progress, not perfection, that whole thing. And yeah, about the healer, being a healer, like it's yes, we have to help those that need us, but then yes, we also I know I have a ton of learning still. I have so much ahead of me, so much to learn and ways to grow and to heal, that I need those other people that can then, yes, pour into me so then I can pour into
right.
others. That's why we need each other. That's why there's 8 billion of us on this planet. If I had it all figured out by myself, I wouldn't need anybody else. So, yeah, it's huge. We all need each other, and we all need to love each other the best that we can on any given day. And when we can't, we have to have the self compassion and the non judgment so that we're not stuck there. That'll keep me there. That'll keep me there. And then I can't be, of service. So, is there anything else? Anything else that you had jotted
I was
down or that you wanted to touch on?
um I just want to read this. I have first, I'm gonna say this is a simple card. It says, you are making a difference every day. That's all it says. You're making a difference every day. I have these, and it's a little note card that I can write out to a note to someone and then just secretly put in their desk. I used to just stick it in my daughter's bag. So when she goes to school, she will find it. I'm not quite sure if she,
I love it.
what it did to her, but I know what it did for me. So I'm just going to leave that there. But it's important for us to say, to remember, only what we have chosen we see as love, or we can only love what we have chosen. So either way, the choice is, in not, you have to choose, because what you have chosen is what you see as love, and you only love what you have chosen. So love all of you, embrace all of you, see all of you, and continue to engage in your self-care journey and discover and rediscover things about you that you may have forgotten, and just learning to see it, just how awesome you are. That's what I would like to leave with your viewers and your listeners at this time. That's just, let's embrace us. Every piece of us. Let's embrace us.
That's
Yeah.
Marsha C. I wish she didn't live in Atlanta. What they call it,
Yeah,
Hotlanta.
Atlanta.
I wish she didn't live in Hotlanta. I wish she lived close, or I will live closer to you because you're awesome. And I do feel like one day we're gonna meet in real
Oh,
life.
definitely.
Um, um. So where can people find you? Where
Oh,
can they hear your
yes,
show?
definitely check us out. We're on all streaming platforms under Her Sacred Soul Space. And you will find us there. And I look forward to you connecting with us. You could go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, doesn't matter, we're on it. We also have a YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Everything is the same. Her Sacred Soul Space. I look forward to you connecting. Sharing. Listen, we're trying to reach the mass here. So share our podcast with your friends and
Yeah.
family, and also leave a comment so that we know how we're doing and how we can show up to serve you more on your journey so that you too can help others on their journey.
That's right. So it's all about. All right. I love you. You're amazing. You are such a special, special soul. All right, cool. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you some of this resonated with you. Again, yeah, share it with your friends. Just get it out there. Like I love it. You said we're trying to share it with the masses. We're trying to wake people up. Be a waker upper,
Yeah,
kind of is
yeah.
what I say. Like try to get it out there. So if you like this, share it with your friends and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
Thanks. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye, Marsha.